That Wolverine one was a pay, true believers. This is Dr. T, and welcome to my comic channel. Today I have a CGC unboxing. Stay tuned. This is the first time I've had a CGC unboxing since CGC was able to adjust their turnaround times, which are wicked fast now. I sent this in at the end of May, and I think it was marked as received on the CGC website on June 6th. Today is June 15th, and I'm getting the books back. They were shipped just a few days ago, so the shipping is faster. The turnaround time for these 5 modern books are much faster, and I have some really great comics in this box, so let's get right into it. I sent these 5 books in with the previous CGC price, and I'm an elite member, so each book cost me $21.60. None of them have custom labels. There were a couple books, 2 Ultimate Spider-Man #1s, the second appearance essentially of Miles Morales. I would have liked to have done a custom label on those books, but when I start to do that, it's going to cost me minimum $20 each new batch. I have 4 other books getting pressed right now to be sent, so if I had 3 or 4 different configurations of these 9 modern books that I sent in, and I wanted 4 to get pressed, and 2 of those 4 that are getting pressed to have custom labels, and 2 of these 5 to have custom labels. We're talking 4 different shipments, and then I'm up to minimum $80 in shipping, and I did not want to do that. I wish they had a different way of combining all of the books, putting them somewhere in their massive warehouse. I know there are a lot of us customers, so that might be really tricky logistically, and get these books back to us in as few shipments as possible with the custom label, with the batch that's pressed, with the ones that don't have custom labels, instead of having to break everything up. And then the shipping cost is really, it kind of sours wanting to get the custom label. So none of these have those, even though I wish they did. That's okay, but let's see. So the first book, this is Carnage USA #1, the second printing, which is quite a scarce / rare book. And I thought this book's a 9.6. There's just a little spine indentation. Not a huge color break, but it's very tiny, but there is a tiny spine indentation. I bought this book off the rack when it was released, gosh, back in 2012. And so let's see. If it's a 9.8, great, but I thought this is going to come back at a 9.6. So let's see what we have. 3, 2, 1, and a 9.6. That'll be just fine. Doesn't look like there's any Newton rings on it, which is good. But yeah, a very nice near mint plus second printing. You don't see these very often. This one is going to be up for sale. I'm not planning on keeping this one, but very nice. Next, here is Marvel Comics Presents #72. Of course, this is, wraparound cover, Origin of Wolverine. And so this is a must-have for me as a Wolverine collector. I picked this book up raw, of course, obviously, at Baltimore Comic Con last October. It was a stunning copy. This needs to be a 9.8. It was so crispy. When I first saw it, I said, boy, that is definitely a 9.8 candidate. And when I send books into CGC, I really do comb over them carefully. I put them in my light over here, put them this way, put them that way, see if they need to be pressed, see if there's any waviness, see if there's any indentations on the front, the back spine, all the things we do to determine the condition of our books. So let's see, gotta be a 9.8. If it's a 9.6, oh well, I picked it up raw for only $40, so not too bad. So or is it 60? Might have been 60 actually, but 40's in my head. But anyway, let's see. 3, 2, 1. Oh! And perhaps that's why you send your book to get pressed. Maybe that little bit of waviness that I saw is why this got a 9.6. There was a tiny bit of waviness in the light, but wow. But a 9.6, you know, I bet it just needed a press to flatten it out that much more. But yeah, this book, it's definitely not from a spine tick, so it must be just that little bit of cover waviness. Boy, this book is such a sharp copy too. I wonder if it has any grader notes. It probably doesn't, because a lot of times they don't do grader's notes for the higher grade books, but I'll go in and see what I can find. All right. Next book. All right, this is a raw book that I've had for a while. This is just part of my Batman New 52 run. I have every issue, I think, goes from 1 to 52, plus the annual. So this is the annual number 1 from the New 52 from 2012. I sent this in because I thought it could be a 9.8. Idea was to sell this by like a 8, like a very fine plus, near mint minus sort of copy of this raw, and then sell this, hopefully a 9.8. Let's see if I have it. I do, watching some videos on YouTube, commentary from many of you is that CGC is grading harsher. So let's see what this have. I'm hoping this is a 9.8. I sent it in only for that reason, but let's see if it's 9.8 or 9.6. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. See, that's good. That's good. That's good. This book looks as good as this book. When I'm comparing which books to send in, and I don't have very many right now that I have in a stack to send into CGC. This is really all of them, plus those 4 books I have getting pressed. This looked every bit as good as this book, or I wouldn't have sent this one in. So isn't that interesting? But yeah, that's a relief. This is a 9.8 since this got a 9.6. So I'm ultimately 2 for 3. The 9.6 on the Carnage USA, the 9.6 on the Marvel Comics Presents 72 is a miss, but the 9.8 on the Batman Annual number 1 with this kind of cool Mr. Freeze cover. I'll take it. I'll take it. This is also going to be going up for sale at some point. Now I have a couple books that I'm really interested in seeing what it is. So here we have a newsstand copy of this Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. There are spine ticks on the front and back. This is a book that I had pressed earlier last year, and then finally sent it in. I don't believe there's a 9.8 of this book on the census. This is definitely not a 9.6, definitely not a 9.4. 9.2 would be the highest it would go. I'm more in the 8.5 range of what I think this newsstand edition of this book would be. So let's see what we have. I hope an 8.5. If it's anything higher than 8.5, that would be really great. If there was a 9 on here, that would be super. So let's see. 3, 2, 1. 9.2. I will take that all day long. I mean, like I said, it just has those few spine ticks. They're very small. I bought this off the rack back in 2011. I don't even remember how I picked up a newsstand copy. It was a book that I found a couple years ago in my collection. I just forgot that it was even there, to be honest. You're thinking, how do you forget you have a book like this? Well, I did. A lot of my books were still at my parents'. Then finally, once I got everything in my possession, this was in one of the short boxes, and I couldn't believe it was a newsstand. 9.2 all day long. I do have an Ultimate Fallout 4 in a 9.8 that I also bought off the rack in 2011. That is in the collection. So I have thought to sell this one because I have that other one. But boy, that 9.2 for a newsstand copy of this book is really spicy. Really spicy. There's one tiny little color break up here on the corner. Tiny little color break here at the bottom. Any color breaks along the spine, I mean, you really can't even see them there. They're just very small. Boy, the fact that Marvel Comics Presents got a 9.6 and this got a 9.2, I'm just like, Oh, that Wolverine one was going to be a PC book too, and a 9.8. It's like, should I keep this? Send it in, uncrack it, get it pressed eventually, and then get my 9.8. I mean, by that point, I should just sell this and put it towards getting a 9.8, just buying it on eBay or something. Because boy, if this thing's a 9.2, this thing's got to be a 9.8. But oh well. This is really great though. All right, one more. Really nice, really nice. Wow, 9.2. Oop, there's a scuff too. There's a nice scuff at the top here as well on the slab. It's not too bad though. So far, I haven't seen any problems with the slabs or any unsightly Newton rings or anything. All right, here is a copy of Ultimate Spider-Man #1 from 2011. Just the polybag. Should it say? Polybag version. I bought this also off the rack back in 2011. I thought this is a near mint book, a 9.4. I'd be really surprised if it was higher than that. It looked better than this 9.2. This doesn't nearly have the color breaks along the spine. This was also pressed earlier last year. This really needs to be a 9.4. It cannot be the same grade as the newsstand. If it was 9.6, fantastic. That would be unexpected, but it's possible. So let's see. 3, 2, 1. That's spicy. See, that's spicy. I wasn't expecting that. I thought this book was a 9.4. So with with the Marvel Comics Presents 72, these last two Ultimate Spider-Man books, I undergraded them. I mean, if they're going to give the Marvel Comics Presents a 9.6 and give this a 9.6, and I'm thinking this is 9.4 range, maybe 9.2 range, 8.5, 9.0 range, and this got graded the same as this one, and this is a much crispier looking book than this one. That's surprising. Same grade. Goes to show that not every 9.6 is equal. Not every 9.8 is equal, etc., all the way down to 0.5. An accumulation of defects, essentially. Wow, a 9.6. I was going to sell both of these. But these are really spicy. These are really spicy. Higher than I thought. True believers, this isn't too bad. I would have loved to have had Miles Morales custom labels on these. But again, the shipping cost, it was going to negate me doing that because I didn't want to start paying $40 extra in shipping when I could just have these two groups of books shipped back with me. But true believers, this is fantastic. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, remember, comics for life.